Coming into the postseason, if you asked AFC contending teams which organization they would least like to play, most probably would have said the Texans. Houston's defense has been a force all year, locking horns with and dominating some of the best teams in the league. The craziest part about their success is that it's not like they're dialing up all these diverse schemes and looks to confuse an offense or get an advantage. Their team is just made up of a bunch of well-coached, smart, athletic freaks who straight up bully offenses into playing the game their way. When beginning to look at the Texans defense, your eyes instantly go to the monsters they have on each edge. Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter have been wrecking ship all season as they both rank top 10 in sacks this year. The Texans typically only need to rush 4. They do it more than almost every other team. With 2 game wreckers on the edge, they're consistently collapsing the pocket and driving the quarterback right into the arms of their massive tackles. Here, the Steelers are initially in a 4x1 set with running back Kenneth Gainwell so far off the line that this play looks like it could be a screen. But instead, Rodgers motions him across the line to help deal with Anderson Jr., who's preparing to launch off the end. Rodgers is well aware he's going to need help on this side. Just watch him look over and peek at Anderson Jr. before going, nope, not going to think about it, and snapping the ball. This glance is the Will Anderson Jr. effect on full display because we can see that as Rodgers drops back, he's so focused on his left side that he doesn't even feel the pressure from Danielle Hunter on the opposite side. How often do we see a blindside sack from the front side? Even if Rodgers felt the pressure, it wasn't going to matter as Anderson Jr. completely destroys the double team on the left, and it's ironic that the tackle's name here is Cook because he made a meal for the Houston defense on this play. The Texans defense works from the outside in as the pressure off the edge consistently concentrates everything into the middle.
Down he goes, great sack there, pressure up the middle, Fatukasi comes in.
It's very rare that the Texans will blitz, but when they do, it's highly effective. Here we can see that Will Anderson Jr. isn't even on this play, which means that the Rams are going to divulge the double team to taking care of Danielle Hunter. DeMeco Ryans knows this, so watch how he uses it against LA. As the Rams attempt to protect the outside first, the interior line is going to focus on the stunt the defensive tackles are running to their right side. This stunt perfectly opens up the gap for linebacker Henry To'oTo'o to shoot through. Kyren Williams is going to attempt to pick up the blitz coming off the play action, but the scheme just has To'oTo'o unabated as with a full head of steam, he's just going to demolish Kyren and get to Stafford. It's not often we see Sean McVay get outsmarted, but here DeMeco Ryans and the defensive coordinator Matt Burke come out on top. Like we said before, the focus starts on the outside, but then it opens up the middle. What makes the Texans defense as a whole so difficult to handle is how well the front end unit works with the back end unit. While the defensive line may get the headlines, the Texans secondary allows them the time to get home. The Texans' favorite coverage is cover 4. They run it at the 3rd highest rate in the league. Cover 4, also known as quarters coverage, relies on 4 DBs covering deep while 2 linebackers and an additional DB cover underneath. Cover 4 creates opportunities for the safeties to make plays, as the success is the result of their reads. In the same way that a quarterback reads a defense, the defense is also reading the offense. The 4 deep defenders divide the field and attempt to bracket wide receivers between 2 zones. Derek Stingley Jr. sees the inside leverage from Isaiah Likely on the line, so he aligns himself outside because it allows him to not have to worry about anything behind him. If a wide receiver decides to run the route in front of him, he has help from the linebackers underneath or the safety over top. On the opposite side of the field, Kamari Lassiter is going to choose to take an inside leverage and force DeAndre Hopkins towards the boundary using the sideline as his cushion. This limits the amount of space that Hopkins has to work on the outside and allows the safeties not to have to worry about anything coming inside and just focus on reading the quarterback. As we move down the field, we can see that Cooper Rush wants to go to Zay Flowers on this route, but Jalen Petrie reads his eyes and undercuts it, forcing Rush to pump fake and eventually get swallowed by the pass rush.
Operating out of the gun, he's got Hill to his side. Rush pump. Rush spins out of trouble. Tries to spin again, and he's sacked! Mario Edwards Jr.
The Texans secondary is full of instinctual players who create problems for offenses due to their strong foundation and sticky coverage. Here's a perfect example of how the Texans defensive backs execute their assignments in coverage at a high level. The Jaguars have dialed up a low, medium, high concept for Trevor Lawrence as he's going to load up and try to hit Parker Washington on a corner route. Jalen Petrie is going to make this play because his technique is flawless. He sinks into his zone, which allows him to cover 2 separate options, and then once Lawrence releases the ball, he just drives in the correct read for the interception. While the Texans make their money on passing downs, that doesn't mean that they don't also hamper the running game. Houston's persistence allows them to clean run blocks and consistently force offenses into long downs and distances. The Colts are trying to run a counter on the backside for Jonathan Taylor. They're able to initially open up this hole for him to burst through, but it closes instantly because the Texans manage to plug the gaps. The Texans are able to do this because of their solid gap blocking scheme. We can see they send EJ Speed on a blitz in an attempt to penetrate the line. His rush prevents the Colts center from being able to work upfield and prevent Henry To'oTo'o from blocking the hole. They combine this with a twist on the outside from Anderson Jr., who bends around Mario Edwards and forces Taylor to bounce outside into his arms. Teams that work in harmony make the best music, and the Texans rock out every week. When you infuse a well-coached team with smart and freakish athletes who have relentless motors, you get exactly what you'd expect: a problem. The Texans shocked the entire world when they threw Josh Allen into a blender on primetime. In their Week 12 matchup, Houston sacked Allen 8 times. This play is a perfect example of what foundationally the Texans can do on every single play, as the coverage allows time for the pass rush to wreck the entire thing. While the defensive line is going to get the bulk of the credit for their career day, the back end bullied the wide receivers just as much, as they held Allen to 0 passing touchdowns and recorded 2 interceptions. The Bills are in 3rd and 6 while down by 4. The Texans are running man coverage across the board and completely locking down all options, forcing Allen into scramble mode, as he's going to have to contend with a defensive line that's literally throwing his offensive line around. Danielle Hunter obliterates Spencer Brown in such an unholy way that you have to think about the fact that this guy has a family to go home to after. So Allen has to deal with that pressure off the edge, while Danico Autry is practically clawing at his feet as he attempts to escape him by nearly leaping over his own center who's on the ground before Hunter finally catches his prey by making a diving shoestring tackle. The Texans' defense is controlled chaos that disrupts the timing of nearly every play and makes it almost impossible for offenses to get comfortable. Whether it's rushing the passer, stuffing the run, or covering on the back end, D'Amico Ryan's defense does it all with consistent technique and smart instinctual players whose relentless pursuit sucks the air out of every offensive drive and ultimately leaves quarterbacks with no room to breathe. The cliche saying is defense wins championships, but when you have a team that is full of freakish athletes that are disciplined with a nasty mentality, bad things happen for opposing offenses, and it's the exact reason why the Texans have a real shot to win their first ever Super Bowl. This video featured the use of NFL Plus Premium. With NFL Plus Premium, get access to NFL Pro and track advanced analytics powered by next-gen stats and watch all 22 film. NFL Plus Premium is available on desktop and mobile web.